Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. I'm also here to cover a specific topic of interest, and I think it's important because a lot of people are going through this right now. And that is, can you apply on your own without your spouse if your current spouse abandons you? Now, my short answer would be yes, right? But let me explain why that is a yes. Now, if your spouse, in 100% of my cases, hi there, Dream Queen of Hearts. Now, in 100% of my cases where there is abandonment and my clients go ahead and apply for VAWA, there is usually something that precedes, that comes before the abandonment. Now, while you're going through it, you may think these are nothing, these things are nothing. But then afterwards, in hindsight, when we start to ask more questions after the abandonment happens, we find facts that indicate that there is a pattern of extreme cruelty and mistreatment. So who can think of a spouse who just gets up and abandons their immigrant spouse, right? That's not normal. As something is wrong with that. If a spouse just gets up and said one day just disappears on you. Now, usually when I talk, I ask, we start with a very general question. So, did you feel mistreated before the abandonment? And, unfortunately, a lot of people, they have a high threshold, even though it affects them. I think based on what they know in regards to common knowledge, they think that certain behaviors against them are not mistreatment or abusive. So they are afraid, I'd say, afraid to state the kinds of effects that behavior had on them. I'll give you an example. So we will ask questions about, well, what happened before they just got up and left and didn't answer the phone, or you didn't know where they were. And it usually be like, nothing really happened. But then we'll get into specific questions like, did they ask you for money? And when you refuse, would they get upset? And usually, yes, that was one of the issues that happened. Is that, or did you start to ask them about going forward with the immigration process so that you can, have your papers and the both of you can move forward as a couple? And usually the answer is they were always upset, or they always kind of skirted the issue of submitting the immigration papers. Well, there you go again. There's another sign. Or, did they, when you were in the home with them, did they try to force you to do things against your will? And maybe when you refuse, that's when they would, threaten to not move forward with the process, or they would say that they're going to leave. So they would threaten to leave if you didn't do this or that. And the answer is usually yes. Well, here you go. That is leads to a pattern of mistreatment and extreme cruelty. Because no spouse that has your best interest in mind is going to, get upset at you, or threaten you, or threaten to leave you, threaten to abandon you based on not giving them money, or based on you asking to move forward with the immigration process. And I'm pretty sure it's not limited to these. These are examples, right? So if you have been abandoned by your spouse, one, that's not normal. So it's time to look at your options here. And then to start thinking about the kinds of behaviors that came before the abandonment. Were there signs? There usually were signs. Everything counts whenever there's abnormal behavior on the part of your spouse. that leads you to have it has a negative effect on you, then that can amount to, at a minimum, extreme cruelty. So it doesn't matter what society thinks is abuse, right? And what we've learned, and what even I, as an attorney, going through this process, has I've learned to educate myself about what is mistreatment, what is extreme cruelty, what is abuse. And because of that, I've been able to assist my clients that even other attorneys refuse their case because they don't believe it's abuse. It's not about what we believe is abuse. It's about how is your spouse using tools or behaviors against you to have a negative effect on you, to make you feel traumatized, to make you upset, to make you sad and depressed. If they're doing things to make you feel this way, they're doing these things intentionally to make you feel that way, that is a form of abuse and extreme cruelty. I'll give you an example of a case where this is domestic abuse. So if your spouse, say they make you stay up at night. Maybe they do certain things on purpose to make you stay up, to make you sleep deprived. Maybe they yell all night, or maybe they play music very loudly in the household, knowing that it's going to have an effect to make you sleep deprived. And when you're sleep, that's like a form of torture, by the way. To force someone into sleep deprivation, that is abuse, right? It doesn't matter that nobody was physically hit in this case. That is abuse. So think about it, open up your minds. And I know if you have gone through this, you know what I'm talking about, that we are open here, and we are on the sides of our clients who have gone through this. So if you are going through a situation where you know that they're doing things to put you in a bad situation emotionally, that to have a negative effect on you, give us a call and let's get started on your case, because we understand, and we work towards helping you to get out of that situation or recover from that situation. And the way we do that is to help you thrive through immigration, right? You can get the immigration relief. And as a result of that, you can work, you can live here without fear, you can live here without somebody controlling your immigration status. So be open. And this is where I'm going to leave it at that. When it comes to abuse, extreme cruelty, mistreatment, it's not about who got hit. It's not about who got injured physically. It's not about whether the police were involved. Yes, in certain cases that did happen, and it does, in that case it is useful in that case, because if the police were called, if there are injuries, we can use it. However, in the case where this was emotional, this was verbal mistreatment or abuse, this was financial abuse, keep in mind that you do not have to necessarily show that there were physical injuries. We can show that the negative effect it had on you through your statement. That's your declaration, your detailed declaration. And then keep in mind that there are other ways to explain to the immigration officer the effect it had on you. So, for example, having an evaluation done by a therapist or a social worker can also explain in very clear terms how this amounted to extreme cruelty and mistreatment. And that does it is also accepted as evidence of the effect it had on you. So, what I say here is, if it had a negative effect on you emotionally, then give us a call. Um, don't don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about, do you have evidence? Don't worry about anything else. Give us a call. Let's talk about it, and then we can determine how to move forward. And in 99% of our cases, we do move forward with your case. All right, so I'm going to answer questions. Go ahead, put your questions in the comments now so I can answer it. Go ahead on YouTube, put those questions in the comments. That's what I'm here for. So do it now. I'm going to scroll through. Scroll through. I'm on Instagram now. So let's see what's here. How long after submitting work and travel permit can you receive a receipt notice? So about 2 weeks, I'd say. Does every J1 have to do waiver before they file? No, some J1 holders do not have the 2-year foreign residency requirement. So you have to check your visa and your entry stamp to see if there's anything written on there subject to 2-year residency requirement. Um, I will call very soon. We'll look out for your call. Okay, so waiting for asylum interview. In the meantime, he gets married with U.S. citizen. Can he apply for change of status right away as soon as he gets married? It's possible as long as they qualify and meet all the requirements, and that does include entry requirements. If you're a British overseas territories, what should I do to be legal here in the US? So you'll have to evaluate your options. Just because you are from one of the British territories doesn't mean that you get to have a different path to residency here. So you definitely have to get in touch with us. Let's talk about what's going on here, your facts, and then we can determine whether you qualify. Can I travel with my AP if Republicans win the election? So that's still what AP is there for, right? But I always say, so if you get advance parole, no matter who the government is, that's what it's there for. But what I say here is no matter who is in office, what matters here are your individual facts and whether you're at a higher risk leaving the country while on AP. So that's where you should definitely get legal advice. So this is where now we have Attorney Bria as well as myself. So Attorney Bria and I work closer together. Yes, my schedule as well as attorney's Bria's schedule is filling up quickly. So make sure that you call and get into my schedule ASAP because yes, it is filling up very quickly. And also Attorney Bria. So it's not just me, it's also Attorney Bria. Go ahead and schedule with them. Go to the link. Can I get the number so I can make an appointment? So I'm going to type it here in the comments, but keep in mind it's also in all the captions of the videos. And if you go to the website, you can call the number there, link in the profile. Oh, thank you so much, Victory Unstoppable. So Victory Unstoppable also put my number there. Thank you so much. So go ahead, call the number and get in touch with us, and then we can help you. What if someone makes an appointment and would like to speak with you? Do you actually speak with them? So if there's availability on my schedule, so it really is dependent on my availability. You may have to wait just because my schedule is filling up, but we do have Attorney Bria available as well. So make sure that you get in so you can talk to us. Attorney Bria and I work very closely together to determine the best options for you. So go ahead, schedule. If your citizen spouse damaged your passport and all important documents, does that person qualify for VAWA? Absolutely. Now, while I'm not that a person's attorney, I can't give personalized legal advice. Who does that, right? Who, if they have your best interest in mind, does that? The passport, especially for I know um, immigrants, is one of the most important documents that they can carry with them. And then for them to do that, it definitely indicates that the point is to hurt, whether it's to hurt them emotionally. That is a form of abuse and extreme cruelty. And then did they destroy the passport because they're trying to force them? They're trying to restrict their movement, force them to stay, force them to not be able to escape the situation or leave. That is abuse. So definitely give us a call here. Let's get started. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. You're welcome, Landa. Can you apply for a visitor's visa if you're on filing, but you were asked to take part in a wedding? It's possible, yes, but you have to come really good with proof that you will return to your home country once you come on the visitor's visa. If someone has a request from USCIS and I send it to my lawyer did not send it quickly for 2 weeks. If I send a copy to USCIS, can that be a problem for me on VAWA evidence? So if it's late, it can be a problem, and then it depends on your attorney, and if the attorney, that's more between you and the attorney. But on the side of you trying to protect your own interests and you send in documents, um, it just depends if the deadline was about to be missed and you had to do it yourself. Absolutely. Now, sometimes what happens too is if your attorney sending one thing, you're sending another, or you're sending evidence the attorney isn't reviewing, it can be a problem in that there may be contradictory evidence involved. So you want to be careful about that. But if you definitely needed to beat a deadline and look out for your own interests, I don't blame you for that. So it's going to be the same customer service number. I don't have the number on me today, but if you go to USCIS website, you'll see it there. Call that same number and then they'll verify your information. All right, so let's see. If I have a VAWA case and I initiate the divorce, would it affect me? Not, no. It should not affect you usually. Now, if in the divorce, they have, say the divorce, they ask you, um, they find in the divorce papers that there's contradictory information, that can be a problem. But if you're divorced, trying to move on with your life, you're divorced, you already filed your VAWA, absolutely not. I mean, my clients do that all the time. If you're married to a green card holder and have pending I-45, do you have to stay in status? You have to show that you're in status on the date that you file the I-485. If you're out of status at the time that you apply for I-485, then that's going to be a problem. Also, keep in mind that if you're the spouse of a green card holder, you have to make sure you meet two requirements. You, one, have to make sure that you are in status at the time that you're applying, and two, you have a current priority date. The current priority date, the last I check, I have to check if they change it, is September 1st, 2023. So if at the time, say you're filing right now, you're in status, but obviously we haven't reached that current priority date because it's way back in September, then it means that you should not be filing the I-485. It will be denied. So it's when it comes before, like a year ago, a little more than a year ago, spouses of green card holders didn't have to worry about the priority date. There was no wait list, but now there's a wait list. So you do have to look at the current priority date as well as maintain your status at the same time. If you're, let's see, please can I renew my work permit from I-485 while my VAWA is pending? Absolutely, get on it. We're doing that 6 months ahead. I received notification of interview if necessary within 2 months. What is the chance they may bypass? So if you receive the interview, then you need to go to the interview. We did have one case where they did the interview, then they scheduled an interview, then they changed their mind. So they have to send you a notice. If you see an interview date, you need to go to your interview. And I would say I don't know what your situation is, but don't take it for granted that it's going to be an easy interview, because right now they're waiving interviews for both VAWA as well as marriage-based and family-based cases. So if they're calling you for an interview, they have a very good reason. and they probably have a few questions, and those might not be very easy questions. So you want to make sure that you're prepared to, answer any questions that they may have. How soon can you get your work permit after marriage? 3 to 6 months. I have humanitarian deferred action for my sick daughter. I can request parole to go to my country. So, deferred action does not have the benefit of a travel document. So, if you apply for deferred action, once you leave the country, you lose that deferred action and you can't come back. Now, DACA is different. DACA is a form of deferred action, but with DACA, it's a whole system that they've created that allows for advanced parole. But keep in mind, it's not easy to get advanced parole under DACA. They have to show a good reason for that. So when it comes to just bare bones deferred action, when you leave the country, you lose the status. Email. So info@st law office. How long does the U visa take? So to get the work permit, about a year and a half to 2 years. To be able to get the actual visa, you're looking at about 7 to 10 years. I checked my case, I-485, and it shows 2 months of decision. Does the time frame fluctuate? It does, and it's very annoying, but it does. I have humanitarian, so let's see. How long does what's administrative processing means? I get approved my green card, just waiting for my visa. It means that you, for one reason or the other, they're putting your case in this sort of hold until they get what they need or whatever additional things they're looking at. Now, the administrative processing can be nerve wracking because if you don't know what they want and they put it in admin processing, it could go for a long time. So I did my marriage-based green card 4 months now, no response. What's the meaning of this? I would have to know your case to be able to determine why. I have humanitarian deferred action, so I answered that. Thanks for sharing the live. I appreciate that. Overstayed and married to a US citizen, can I apply for VAWA? Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt there. Give us a call. This is what we do. Can I invite my parents to the state as green card holder? Yes, you can always invite them. But keep in mind, an invitation is not necessarily what immigration wants alone. That's like, nice information for them to have. But they also want to know that your parents, in applying for their visa, they have the strong ties to their country that they'll return to their country after visiting you. So they need to gather all their evidence to show they have strong ties. That's like property, job, business, other children that they have in the country. What's your office contact info? So if you scroll to the top, you'll see it. It's 561-405-4889. And it's also all over the videos as well. And if you scroll to the top, you'll see it there. Attorney Tharpe helps clients get the work permit and residents in the US, and you'll see the phone number next to it. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks so much for that. And I'm really excited that your case is moving forward. And thanks also, Judy, for your input as well. I got 2 traffic tickets in 1998 that I did not pay, but many years later, I got a driver's license that would affect me when applying for a T visa. Uh, Not necessarily. We'd have to do a background check to see if that is on your record. I mean, 2 traffic tickets is not usually, it doesn't mean you're inadmissible. But I don't know if failure to pay those two tickets then led to larger charges. So you want to be very careful about that. And what we do is we make sure we look into your background, make sure that everything is good before we file. Because if we don't want anything to happen to you. So I would say it sounds low risk, but we always double check to make sure everything is good before filing. What's next after prima facie determination letter, and what are the RFE based on FAWA? So the prima facie, I did a video on the prima facie determination letter, so you can go and look at that, and it answers a lot of your questions. Right now, when they issue the prima facie determination letter, it allows you, it's very reassuring because it means that your case is going in the right direction. They don't need anything for now. They could always ask later, but for now, they don't need anything. They see all the required documents. And then it also means that you can go to your state and look to see if you qualify for certain benefits. Some states allow you to get the driver's license with it. Some states give you certain benefits, like if you need food or housing. Those are highly competitive, but based on the laws of the state and what they choose to do, that may be an option as well. All right, let's see. Am I eligible? Let's see, that one looks like an interesting question. So let me see if I can find it. Okay, so am I eligible for TVs? I work for three persons and taken the salary one person. Worked three persons and take the salary one person for the employer. That's definitely an indication that there was a big problem. If you were doing the work of three people based on one salary, that's usually, I can't guarantee for sure until I talk to you or until Attorney Bria talks to you, but that's usually a red flag and could lead to T visa. That this is where it's very important to give us a call. Do T visa spouse get notified that you're filing against them? Absolutely not. No. I've had situations where my clients have been in the same household with the individual and they're not contacted. It's confidential. If you're seeking asylum, then get married to a US citizen. Will it change my status? You have to file, but you can change over once you apply for asylum. Now, let me just talk about, and this is where it's very important to be honest and truthful whenever you're filing these applications, right? Because one pattern I'm seeing is people go and file asylum on a whim. And they follow these notarios or so-called immigration specialists who tell them to just file the application. They put contradictory and straight up untrue information on the application. And then guess what? They get married. But when they get married, it's very contradictory. Like, for example, you do have some cases where they tell them to claim a different sexual orientation on their asylum application because maybe it's an orientation that is facing persecution in the country. And then they do that. Then guess what? They fall in love, they get married, it's a real marriage. But it contradicts, right? Because they get married contrary to what they claim to in their application. They claim they're one thing, then they're another type of orientation when they get married. They can't move forward, right? Or they have to file for fraud. They have to file a waiver for fraud because now they've told a lie and it's quite obvious they've told a lie. So this is where I say, just do the right thing. Don't let anybody force you into a situation where you feel you have to lie to get immigration benefits, because it will catch up with you in the future. Um, I know someone who got here on August 5th, 2007, before turning 16 years old. Does it still count? So if you're talking about DACA, this is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Um, Right now, it's on hold. So unfortunately, it's like a lot of people are in limbo. They're not allowing new applicants. So right now, it doesn't, but maybe in the future, it will. I applied travel document almost a year. Do you have any idea how long it takes? Sometimes it can take up to a year unless you have an emergency. How long it take my spouse to take me in USA when he is a green card holder and I'm in Guyana? So right now I'd say 2 to 3 years when you're outside of the country. I just submitted last step proof of marriage. It says 3 months. Is it actually that long? Who's to tell? They're not being very accurate with that estimator app that they're providing to applicants. I rescheduled my biometrics for an earlier date. Will it affect the case? No, it won't. All right. All right, that's going to be it for me today. Thanks everyone for joining me. I will be back. What I will say here is until I get everything settled down, because we have clients coming through the door and we want to make sure we get their cases out. So I'm in constant cycle of review and work with my team on client cases. So follow me, like, subscribe, do what it takes to be able to get notification when I am on. Oh no, I'm muted on here. There's nothing I can do. So when I'm on again, go ahead and when I'm on, go ahead and join me. You'll get notification, and then we can I can answer questions, and you can uh, yeah, you can ask those questions. Good afternoon, ma'am. If you marry a US citizen and he abandoned you, what can I apply for on my own? So, in this case, you can apply for VAWA. And funny enough, that is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of this live. So, if you want to go back and look at what I was talking about, no, it's not normal for a spouse to abandon you. So if that spouse is has abandoned you, usually that means that there was a lot going on, and there was a lot of negativity before that. So this is where you should definitely get in touch with us. We can help you figure out the best option. What are the RFE based on VAWA? So what's the RFE based on? It could be anything. A request for evidence could be anything. If they find that document that's missing, they ask you for that document. If they want to get more proof of your marriage, they can ask for that. So it just depends on what the situation is. Hi on Instagram. I think my sound went out. I'm about to leave, but I wanted to say goodbye before I leave. I didn't want to just leave you hanging back getting out of the live. So I will be back. Just follow me, like, subscribe, and as soon as I come on again, I'm hoping to do that tomorrow, you will be able to see that I'm on and join me again to ask your questions, and I can tell you about important topics. Thanks again, everyone, for your time. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.